He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
All right, we are back. We're back with Dan Foch, and Jesus, look, you were one of the top episodes.
Well, that's good to know.
You're one of the top episodes.
That was a great episode. We had a good chat.
That was a good. People liked it. We got a lot of strong feedback on it because it's funny. And it makes me glad because people say, "Hey, this is the real truth about real estate. These are the facts. This is the way it really works. We need more of this because let's face it, a lot of bullshit out there."
Yeah.
So Dan, you got so many things you work at. Tell us your work. Tell us about your jobs.
I mean, my primary thing right now is I'm chief real estate officer at Valerie.ca. So we're a AI powered real estate brokerage.
Where are you located? Is that a location? You got several offices?
Got one office, headquartered in Vaughan, like VMC, Highway 7 and the 400. And we serve agents all over the GTA and clients all over the GTA.
So if you want if you're an agent and you're looking for a change and you want something that's high powered and very, very modern, that's you.
That's what we're trying to be. Yeah. Like, I mean, the role that we see is we want to make agents more efficient because that gives the consumer a better end result. And it helps agents make more money, do less work, right? Which is what most agents want. Let's be frank. Like, most realtors are lazy. So,
Danny, you trying to recruit off the lazy theme?
I think enough people would say I'm if people say I'm lazy or you can't say to anybody, hey, do you want to do less work and make the same amount of money? They're not going to say, no, right? So
yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
We talked about this. Like, most agents get stuck because they can't scale and because they can't manage money well enough to get an admin assistant. So they stop doing admin tasks. Like, agents should really be doing deals, like executing, serving customers, and then getting leads. That's like their only two real functions, right?
That's the mission critical. Yeah, absolutely.
So everything in between that is it like booking showings, writing paperwork, blah blah blah, like all of that stuff, right? That can be either administrated away or automated away. And so we've really tried to position ourselves as like an admin assistant for agents that uses technology. AI can do like 70% of what a good admin can do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we're experiencing some of the same thing. Like, here's what I guarantee you. In the next 2.5 years, you and I are going to be talking about AI a lot, both together and separately. Yeah. I mean, that's just the reality. It's going to alter the landscape for sure. It really, we get a lot, and let's be, I had an AI guy on the show, and there's a bunch of pushback in the comments. And you know what? I'm at the stage now where I get it because I've probably really just dipped my toe in it. Yeah. But I get it. Like, if you talk to people about complete job elimination,
scary.
It's scary as fuck, and people push back.
It's an apocalyptic scenario. Like, realistically, the world as we know it is over at that point.
Sure.
Right? Like, and I think the part that even the AI developers talk about it, like, nobody saw knowledge work getting replaced before blue collar work.
Nobody. Absolutely nobody. No, the guys who the key people developing AI in the beginning didn't know that the first casualties would be coders.
Right.
Because they are the first casualties.
Well, yeah, because that's the closest thing. Like, it's basically like how far, like, there's a sphere around AI, and what's the closest thing to it? It's the people coding the AI. So anybody who's coding it already has that knowledge. So the AI is going to learn that first, right? Then what are the next layers around it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, CompSci is like, the Ontario government, like 5 years ago, announced they're going to make sure everybody has to learn how to code in Ontario elementary schools.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. We're going to teach you how to code.
Yeah. But now it's like, okay, well, that's just as irrelevant as whatever the thing you replace code with.
Because it's looking like we just got to throw all that shit out and you got to work with your hands.
Yeah.
Because the robots are coming along a little slower. And I know I'm also going to now get like 25 like comments about, oh no, the robots are here. And people are going to put up little videos in their comments about some robot doing some shit. Okay. But I feel that it's easier, faster, and there's more quick money in eliminating white collar because that's what I've seen. I've seen it.
Right.
Okay. So, and the robots will come. Sure. Someday there'll be more robots, but I got a feeling that it's so easy. You and I were talking about voice before. You replaced the entire idea of how to book showings. You just replaced it. There's no human doing it.
Yeah.
Right? No human. Okay. Yeah. That's we're heading that way too.
Well, and I think a lot of it, like with knowledge work was like a lot of it was fluff before, right? So it was like, you get hire management consultants. Like, can you just tell me 5 things to fix my business? And they're like, oh, here's a 70-page report. It's like,
it was the same 5 things I gave to everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Absolutely.
So, that was like a lot of that fluff is also going to be erased because now you've got AIs writing the things and reading the things, and it just becomes a lot more efficient. Like the knowledge work, I think, will be less wasteful, which hopefully will spread into things like bureaucracy. Like think about planning documents.
No. Slow down. Bureaucracy always lasts.
Yeah.
Protected by the government.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure. It's last. So, lawyers tell me that they're not there yet, but within another 8 to 10 months, their ability to review precedent cases will be instantaneous. Like it's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. Okay. So they have to actually, make sure they're getting the right stuff and make sure that nothing was missed. But they tell me, we're close. We're close to not needing law clerks at all. We won't need any of them. We probably won't need junior lawyers either. So it's just so the law firms are going to be decimated. Same with accounting firms, decimated. Every time I say that to an accountant, they say, "No, you're wrong, Ron. You don't understand how it works." Actually, I do. I do understand how it works. You're thinking just the bookkeepers. No. They're going to be gone. There's still going to be an accountant because the law requires you to do audits on businesses, and that's the regulation. Regulation will save jobs, believe it or not. That's what I believe. But
I agree. Yeah,
we're going to. That's why realtors are going to be around for a while.
Yeah,
real estate is going to stay for a while because God knows, you and I both know, CREA, REA, TREB, they know how to keep the system going, right? Yeah. They really are good at it. So.
Yeah, and even in the U.S., like it's the largest lobby, right? So it's one of the largest lobby groups in the U.S.
Yeah, I fully believe we're going to have realtors for a while.
Fortunately or unfortunately, but I think what will happen is a lot like you'll see fee compression. So what will happen is if 80% of the job of a realtor can get automated away, that means agents are doing 20% of the work that they did before, which means that they can charge, even if they charge 30% of the fee, right? So you'll see fees come down, I think.
Okay, is the fee stuff in the States creeping along? I heard it wasn't really going big, but it's just grinding.
Yeah,
lower fees are grinding. Okay,
a little bit. I mean, the thing is, we're not really in a competitive market in the U.S. Like it's, there's so few transactions, right? In Canada, it's the same thing. Like we're at record low volume. When we get back to super high volume and, people are shopping around for realtors or whatever, I think that you'll start seeing it. Like, but competition is what breeds that, like the competitive pricing, right? Right now, we're not like neither the Canada and the U.S. both are at very, very low sales volume historically.
Yeah. So that brings us to the news treb is GTA sales trumpeting it from the top of the skyscrapers. It's the biggest news. Everything's changed, right? Yeah. Everything changed after last month. Sales went up. Yeah. Tell us about it. Sales went up.
Yeah. So sales are up in July 10% above July of last year.
But July last year it
was one of the worst months ever. So I would hope that they were up, Yeah.
If they kept going down, we're doomed.
Yeah. And, but I mean, if you look at that, like, people will say, oh, the highest July since 2021. It's like, well, 2021 was 50% above this July. Right. So, I think that it's realtors are always excited to try and whatever data point comes out that's positive, they want to flip it into something bullish. Right. And this is it.
Every data point that's positive. Yeah. The market's different now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. First it was like, oh, this rate cut's going to be the one that sends prices skyrocketing. But, by now it's your last chance, right?
There is still a shit ton of last chance out there, right? Like
Tons, man.
I see that so hard.
And I've never really understood it because, like, I think realtors, a lot of them create their marketing for buyers. So they're applying FOMO to buyers. But there's two sides of the transaction, and there are just as many people who hold properties that you could sell them the same fear. You could say the sky's falling, you better sell now, and you'd actually probably do better because listing agents typically do better than buyer agents, right?
But not lately.
Well, listings are tough right now.
Not lately,
but historically, like there's a saying in the industry: "List to live" or whatever it is.
Sure, but the bottom line is I think you and I would agree there will be a tipping point.
Yeah,
and there might have been a tipping point last month actually. So because the stress for the listing agent was you'd go to a listing interview and the client would say, "Oh, but I know this house is worth X," and the the agent would calmly explain, no, it's not worth X anymore. It's worth Y.
Yeah.
And the seller would say, get the fuck out. Okay.
Right.
Like, I'm sure it's worth X. And then, of course, it wasn't.
Right.
But I think part of the blip up last month, it's two things. I think it's a result of lower mortgage rates, particularly in May and June.
Yeah.
So when we hit, everything was in the threes. Okay. And then now it's gone up a little.
Yeah, that'll give the market some steam.
Sure. But I think the real reason was there was some spotty price capitulation. Like I think your own
sellers?
Yeah.
For sure.
I think you saw that yourself.
100%,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So we all know the story of the condos, which we'll come back to in a minute. But let's talk about the fact that when we look at those numbers that you discussed, the July TREB numbers, and TREB is the biggest board in Canada. Like it's just
biggest board in the world.
Biggest board in the world. Holy fuck. Okay. All right. So the biggest board in the world. All right. So their numbers showed us a 10% spike year on year, coming off a horrific year in unit sales. But they downplayed this part, but they also clearly showed that prices were down.
Yeah, 5.5% on average.
And some of that it's not just the condo disaster. Low-rise was down in all regions, right?
Yeah.
Basically all regions, low-rise pricing was down.
Yeah.
Houses, semis were selling, but...
Yeah, still down slightly.
Still prices down.
Yeah, like so your 416 detached, I think was down like in the 4%, low 4%. 905 detached was like close to the average, 5.3%, I think, year over year. And then condos were like 9 and 10%.
Yeah, big numbers.
905 condos down over 10%.
Over 10 and 905, yeah. Because I noticed every single category, every single region was down. Prices were down.
Everything,
Okay.
yeah.
So is that a kind of creeping capitulation that we're seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think so. I think for buyers, it's really easy for them to adjust prices, right? Like they just change a number on their offer. But for a seller, it's like they're running numbers. They have to go and get the listing paperwork signed and change their maybe purchasing, upsizing or downsizing decisions or debt consolidation decisions or whatever they're selling this asset for. And so that's why historically economists will refer to real estate prices as sticky downwards, right? Like they have downward
Always
stickiness.
sticky downwards,
yeah.
yes.
And now we're so for the last 2 years, prices have been relatively after that big quick sell-off. And the reason that 2022 sell-off was able to happen so quickly is because even though we were in a seller's market, buyers were setting the prices because everything was in a bidding war. So let's say everything was priced at $1 million. Buyers always decided, am I going to pay 1.2 or 1.3 or whatever? So the growth was always just how much the buyers were willing to overpay. And so all that needed to change was list price stayed at $1 million and buyers changed from 1.3 to $1 million or 900. And that just erased that's why we saw prices come down like 20. It expedites, like bidding wars expedite downward price discovery. But now we're in a balanced market, buyer's market, I guess. And you've got sellers who now need to come down to meet the buyer's bids. And they're always slower to do that. Always.
I'm 30 years doing this, and that is universal truth.
Yeah.
It is sticky on the way down.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
But there is, I've been through the classic in Ontario was 89.90 and the aftermath. Mm-hmm. And it was a slow grind down. It kept going down. It took a big leg down in 90.
Yeah.
And then just kept grinding down.
And we're following like a very similar path. We saw the big drop in 2022, and we've just been grinding down like 3 to 5% per year for 3 years straight. And we'll probably continue to for another 2 years.
1990 went a full 6 years.
Yeah. I think we'll see the same thing.
1996. Now, it's kind of interesting that some of the things are repeating because even though there were so few condos, people got to remember this. Like, condo is a new phenomenon. Like, there's so few condos, high-rise condos in 1990. They got decimated. They had a bunch of wrong thinking around them, but I'll tell you, they were a hell of a lot better product than we offer today. There's no such thing as a dog crate condo in 1990. It was like a full 7, 8, 9,000 square foot apartment.
Yeah.
Like old fashioned apartments. Like it had like distinct rooms. It had like a real galley kitchen, but a real kitchen, it was real.
Yeah.
Okay? Not the garbage dog crates we have today. But there was few of them, but they took a hit. Like it was either a 36 or 38 peak to trough % down.
Crazy.
That's a big goddamn number. Right?
I think we'll see the same thing now with condos.
Yeah. So where is the real heart of the price the price reduction. And we'll think about Ontario for a minute, but I know there's some similarities to BC. I think the heart of the price reduction is distant 905, Niagara, Hamilton.
Yeah.
And some of the smaller cities are not as beat up. Windsor's bad. But London and Kitchener-Waterloo, Ottawa seems to just be holding its own, holding its breath, waiting for the government cuts. Okay.
Yeah.
Employment, because they threw out a $60,000. They threw out a 60,000 number at one point.
It's a lot of jobs.
Yeah, and like at least 30,000 that would be in Ottawa. So that's for that community. That's crazy. Okay. But it's holding its own. It's not going up at all in Ottawa, and it's down a bit. But
they saw a big drop though, right? Like coming out of 2022, Ottawa is down 30%.
So it's these peripheral, and Niagara is just awful. Yeah. Right. It's just because it had some of the biggest run-ups.
Yeah.
In 2021, I think someplace in Niagara, Fort Erie was up, I think 50% in 24 months. Yeah. I mean, it's just nuts. Make no sense. So we're seeing those terrible losses there. You made a great point about just how big does some of these big losses affect your life, your whole economic life?
I think that, like if I look at pre-con condos, some of the losses being taken in that space, I look at some of these ones that you're talking about, like Niagara or whatever. If people are losing like hundreds of thousands of dollars, or if they're 30, 40% above, like they owe 30 or 40% more than the value of the property in debt, I honestly think in somebody's entire economic life, they will never financially recover from that.
Yeah, no, because it's not, if you paid 40% too much and now it's gone down, and now you can't, and you also have the concomitant problem of the mortgage rate when it goes up this year.
Yeah.
And you also did shit. Like when you moved in, you took out a bunch of credit card debt to turn the place into the way you liked it. Okay.
Or you bought it on a HELOC or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. But it just was a endless dive into debt based on this new house. And now the value has plummeted. You're underwater on the mortgage. And
even if you rent it out, you're cash flow negative, so you're not moving in the right direction.
But if you feel you must sell, if there's some kind of job loss and you must sell, you are talking about a monumental economic hit.
Huge.
Because you got those credit cards. All you can do is you have to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you may have to go bankrupt.
Yeah. I don't like, and you and I have talked about this a lot, like on Twitter and stuff like that. Like for your average single family homeowner, like if it's just your house and it's 20, 30%, amortized over the life of your mortgage, like that's a little different. But for people who are investing or speculating, and it's like what they had in their head thought was, their ticket to making generational wealth.
Yeah.
And now, so that in their head, they're making $500K on this thing, but the actual return on it is they're losing $500K. That's $1 million spread in their future financial plans. And that's where I think it's crushing people. Like, you go back to the 90s, and you and I had talked about this a bunch on Twitter, a lot of those people who just bought their houses ended up fine, right? They paid down their mortgage over 25-year amortization. You barely notice that you overpaid by 10, 20, 30%, right?
Well, at the end of the day, the market did come back to life.
Yeah.
And as long as you could handle your payment, you needed to live somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it did not impact on your life.
Yeah.
So again, it's a great point you raised. If you went all in on real estate speculation and, empire building, you could get
a lot of people lost.
I knew those guys, but I knew those guys in the 90s.
Yeah.
And your point is so well taken because those guys were afraid of fucking real estate for 25 years.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like it was those who were greedy, like they might never touch the asset class again. So all of your like speculators that were relying on to pump this market up for the last 5 years, they're gone. Like a lot of them are either broke or they're too afraid of the asset class, right?
Because, the way that the huge ramp up in pre-con condo sales fed itself was, hey, did you hear about cousin Mel made this much money? Or, my brother-in-law, who was an asshole, he made a fortune. Okay. Yeah. So I got to get in this quick. Okay. Yeah. And you bought it at the wrong time.
Well, that's like how the contagion works. Like on the to the upside, contagion works like everybody's heard of someone who made money flipping condos or whatever, right? So it's like, like you talking to your buddies, you're out at the bar, like we got to start flipping condos, right? Realtor comes up, I mean, like honestly, hey, I heard about so-and-so, like all these guys, like they've just made $1 million in the last 4 years, just flipping paper on condos, whatever. Everybody's heard of somebody who's made a ton of money doing this thing.
Yes.
And then everyone piles into it, the bubble happens, and then you get to the other side of it. And now the opposite is true. And this is how it becomes negative contagion. Everyone now knows somebody who has lost a ton of money flipping condos or whatever the thing is, right? I'm
an old man, so I don't socialize much, but do you hear people talking about it?
Everywhere, man. It's crazy. Like I feel like everywhere I go, I hear a conversation about real estate, interest rates, pre-con, condos, whatever. Like just it's so ingrained in our culture.
All bad news.
Yeah, that's all people are talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Or at least like maybe not all people are talking about, but it is always a part of the conversation. Like to the point where as somebody who is a public commentator on this industry, it's like somewhat annoying to go to like social gatherings and everyone's like, oh, like what about this thing? And and then they want to inject their opinion and and like I talk about this for a living. Like the last thing I want to do when I'm at like my kid's birthday party is talk about what's happening in the condo market. Okay. Like,
I get that. Yeah.
But like everybody just wants to talk about this stuff.
So one feature, just to finish off on the big report from Trub, one feature was huge delisting. In other words, like, a ton of people said, cancel my listing.
Yeah.
Now you suggested to me that some of it was just normal seasonality.
So there's a handful of factors here, right? So number one is, June, July, and August were the 3 biggest months of people taking properties off the market that we've ever seen. 3 back-to-back record numbers of delisting.
So this is record for the history of keeping records, right?
Yeah, since as long as we have the data.
Yeah.
And so, but in the 90s, like maybe there was more, but people didn't delist, right? In the 90s, they just left it on the market,
right?
Like it wasn't uncommon to see some property was 120 days or 300 days on market. Now realtors all want to protect that days on market number on MLS, right?
Got it.
So that's part one of it, is like it's part of the strategy where a lot of agents, like to the point where Treb actually had to, like, they have 2 numbers now. They have PDOM, which is property days on market. That's the real number of days on market for that address, and then LDOM, which is listing days on market. So if the property's been relisted 3 times for 10 days, the LDOM is 10 days, but the PDOM is 30 days.
So Treb decided to be a little more transparent. Okay.
Yeah, because they were getting complaints about like what's the true days on market.
Right.
Because agents could skew it, and a lot of agents like would use it to cook their own numbers, where they'd say like, oh, I have the lowest days on market out of all my competitors, because they would like pull the property off and relist it the day before they got an offer or whatever, right?
Jesus Christ.
Crazy practices.
But
I will give credit to Treb. They're really cracking down on this stuff. Like they're taking it seriously.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, a little late because like we could have used stuff like that in 2011, but
yeah. In the bad old days when everything was going up 20% and there was 40 bids on one house. Yeah, that was not a good time for sure. Those people are feeling the pain now.
Yeah.
So let's just finish off on the condos, because what is the end game on the condos? Like, what will we on Toronto condos, and to a lesser extent BC condos? Greater Vancouver condos, it's essentially the same issue. Okay, that they're too expensive. The pre-con stuff that's coming on stream now is just fucking makes no sense economically. There's so much money. People are running away from sales. We are seeing bankruptcies of developers, receivership for certain projects canceled right and left. The same. We basically went through that before. Mm-hmm. Like this, they've been canceled. They started canceling projects in Toronto like 14 months ago. Okay. But so it's the same idea, but when does it fix itself? Like when is the time that a new project will launch and it'll sell through? It'll sell 75, 80%, because that's what you have to have. Before you dig the hole, you got to sell them.
Yeah. So I'm of the opinion that like the way that we used to raise money for, housing, basically, it's broken forever. Like,
is it broken forever?
I honestly think that, like, and so to answer your question in an easy way, like that will happen. Like when a project will sell out again is when when the market price comes up to the point where it meets how low developers can go, and all those the developer side, like the supply side, is coming down, but the demand side is going down too, right? So right now they can't catch at this point. Never, but eventually the market's bid will come up as a result of rates or inflation or whatever. But right now, construction costs are coming down, land costs are coming down, development charges are coming down. Like all of those factors that go into what a developer can afford to sell a unit for are deflationary. So that's good. But the question is, does the market bid ever come up to meet it? My guess would be eventually, but I don't see it being anytime soon. And when it does, I think it's going to be the end user, not the dog crate condo investor. And the reason I think that is, I mean, we built a model on developers could basically have their so reduce by 50% their equity requirement in a project, because they could go and sell pre-cons to people and they would collect deposits, and then they could use that as part of the capital stack and go get construction financing because the deposits were insured, and they could finish a project. But now, because CMHC has entered the space, and it's a little bit different for high rise because CMHC doesn't necessarily pencil for high rise, but CMHC with the MLI Select product.
So this is CMHC pushing through, and they have done a huge job, and it is growing, and it is big on purpose-built rental. That instead of you building a condo building to sell the units, you build a building that's meant for rental for the rest of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, a lot of developers and builders, it's hard for them to shift from being basically somebody who builds and sells a product like a car manufacturer or something into being a rental owner. But for a lot of them who have seen the past cycles, the 90s, whatever, they see it's the only way, right? And so many developers who have a project that, again, it doesn't work for big high rise. Your construction costs per square foot are too high. It's really hard for those to make that work. There is another product that CMHC has issued to kind of like a very small group of developers called the ACLP, Apartment Construction Loan Program, where they directly lend money. They don't just insure it. But outside of that, your kind of sub 200 unit projects can work even in the 905 and 416 for CMHC MLI Select. If you paid the right price for the land.
Pure rental build. You're building it to only ever be a rental forever. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it comes in 5 or 10 year loans, but your affordability commitment, if you are using affordability to get to the points that you need, is a 10-year commitment. So, 10 years, but eventually you could hypothetically condominiumize all those units today or tomorrow and eventually sell them out in the resale market.
But the history of condominiumizing old units is a checkered history.
Well, you would just condominiumize them today and then do your CMHC loan on it. And then later, once you've finished that 10-year affordability commitment or whatever it is, you could blow them out in the resale market, assuming because that's how long it's going to take for the resale market to recover.
So that's sort of our concept here, is that for high-rise condominiums for sale, this is a very long-term recovery.
I think so. Yeah. I don't see a version of the world in which we're getting back to if you want them to be the future of our housing supply, you have to accept that we built these units that are functionally like hotel rooms.
Yes.
And so you'd really, really have to compromise your life to live in a 2-person, that's not a 2-person household.
No, not at all.
So that's not a dual income household. So let's assume that's your workforce housing. And what's your median household income in Toronto? Like 50, 60, 65K?
It's in the 60s, yeah.
65K. So historically, what's a lender going to give you? 4.5, 5x income?
Yep.
Right. So 5x income. So take 65 and multiply it by 5, and that's what those units should be worth. Less condo fees, GDS and TDS ratios, whatever, right?
Stuff,
so that's a number in the low 3s probably?
It's a number that's probably on a purchase price basis in the mid 4s.
Okay.
On a purchase, because you assume down payment and that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. So we have to fall.
But that's a long way to go. We got to go long. Where the average is 30 right now. So we got a long way to go.
Long way.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's the bottom to me, unless something changes, and lots of things can change. Rates can change, which increases your buying power. Prices can come down. Wages can go up, so that that median household income could go up.
Yeah,
but none of them are changing fast enough to save this thing.
So it's fair to say that we won't see a new condo tower. Nobody would start digging the hole. The earliest might be 2030.
Holes have been filled in.
Holes have been filled in, exactly. So we know how bad that is. So we won't. It's not hard to think of the first hole being dug in the GTA could be 2030.
For a condo, yeah. But rentals will get built.
Rentals will get built, but then we have another issue.
We do, yeah.
We have another issue. There's too fucking many of them coming, right?
Yeah, and Ontario and Quebec are actually the most insulated against that. But at a national level, purpose-built rental supply in BC is over 10% of their total supply. So
that's coming. That's like 12% is 12% of all the rentals that exist in BC right now are going to be built in the next 18 months. They're going to be that much more in the next 18 months. It's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. Alberta's like, Atlantic Canada is like 8%, or Alberta's 8%, Atlantic Canada is 10%. So
it's huge. Yeah.
So assuming
huge excess capacity. Okay.
Well, yeah. And that's a great way to deliver affordability. That means vacancies are going to go up. Like if population growth doesn't come back, so let's just assume population growth stays at 0, even if it goes to 1%, and new household formation doesn't pick up, which why would it, right? Like we're probably going to be in a recession. Then that's literally just a 10% direct injection into your vacancy rate. Like unless I'm missing something, and maybe they're like a bunch of homeless people, move in. I mean, realistically, like, but you know what I mean? Like the government could use that as a solution for that or whatever, right? Like there are other forces, or in Alberta, you've got, big population growth coming interprovincially. So that could
slowing though. Yeah, slowing now.
Yeah, but 4%, right? Yeah. So and it's gone from 11 to 4. So and they're building as if it's 11. Like
they definitely are building as if it's 11. Yeah, the bloom has come off the Alberta real estate story. I mean, it's still good, but it's because not like fuck like here,
right?
But it's or Vancouver, but it's not going in the right direction,
right?
For sure. So, all right, summarize this thing about. By building a new high-rise dog crate condo tower is really, it's going to be a long time before we may never see it again, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if we didn't, like, because the reason why we were building that small was because it gave you an attractive price on the pre-con price sheet. Like when an investor's looking at
so it was just for investors.
It was. Yeah. And it was basically like, what can I build that's going to command the highest price per square foot? And that is also for the investor going to command the highest price per square foot in rent for them. And it's not that to say that they're more in demand products. It's just that as soon as you have a new unit, there's like a base rent and a base price for that. And so the smaller that you can make a unit, the higher you can charge on a per square foot basis for purchase or rent. So developers would have these price sheets, and the investors are in the sales office spinning the wheel to win a Rolex or whatever, and they see the price sheet and they look at it and they pick the...
They point.
They pick the cheapest number, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then they fill out a worksheet for that, and the worksheet is pick your top 3 numbers or your top 3 units, because nobody ever, like all of those the dog crates that you're saying, like they were all oversubscribed. And
they were gone already.
Yeah, okay, well, in most cases, like you would have 1,000 worksheets for those tiny units, and whatever, none for the 3 bedrooms, because nobody wanted to spend 1.5 mil. Everybody was going for the 500K unit, and so because they were designed to attract investor capital, and they did that by reducing the prices as much as they could. Unless we get back to a world where the only efficient way that we can raise capital for high-rise projects is through speculator deposits, which speculators are not putting deposits down on anything anytime soon.
Hell no. So there's none.
So your capital pool's gone or diminished. Your developers aren't super incentivized to take that risk anymore.
Not at all. No.
And there's this new shiny object, which is CMHC MLI Select.
Purpose-built rentals, yeah.
Where they can do, I mean, the numbers aren't as great as the pre-con.
It's survival for your company.
Well, also, I mean, were the numbers really that great? Because like we're having 20% failure to close. So maybe for the 1 or 2
the numbers look good on paper, but then,
look at all the headaches that they have to deal with as a result now.
Which brings us quite perfectly into the new discussion that's raised its head particularly out of BC.
Yeah.
Is that we must bring foreign buyers back.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a big controversy out of BC, big publicity about it. Big whole group of developers said, "Sweet Jesus, save us, Mark Carney. Save us, Dave Eby, the premier. Hey, save us. You got to let these foreign buyers back. Eliminate the ban right fucking now to save BC housing." Okay, let's just break that down for a fucking second here. Okay. Like, it's only benefit of the developers. That's it. Because I try to simplify everything. So at the end of the day, there's no domestic buyer in British Columbia, particularly in Vancouver, Greater Vancouver area.
No
domestic buyer. There's units to buy. Obviously, there's tons of units to buy. There's closing failures. There's resale available. Nobody's buying. Okay, right. So it's obviously too expensive for that person to buy to live in, or it's a horrible floor plan, or there's no possibility of making any money as an investor or landlord now or in the future. So they're not selling. So the idea of bring back foreign buyers is simply this. We must find one of three things. The greater fool, somebody in Dubai who doesn't understand how it works and thinks, oh, you're telling me I'm going to make money? Okay, sure. Let me take a shot. Or money laundering, which was highly popular at some points in British Columbia and here too in Toronto. Or I just want to get my money out of my country because I don't trust my government.
Yeah.
Also popular.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no reason that supports Canadians who live here to bring back this foreign capital, right? There just isn't any.
Right.
Apart from making money for developers and keeping construction workers busy.
Yeah. I mean, there's that saying, I think it's Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, but it's, the market can stay rational longer than you can stay solvent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're at a point where the market, actually, sorry, the point or the quote is the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right?
Yeah.
But I
the
think
market can do ridiculous things long past the point you think it should stop.
But I think we're also at a point where the market can stay, like the market is sobering up and people so developers could drop to the clearing price of $950 a foot and take huge losses and they would have no problem moving units, right?
Well,
or maybe
eventually they'd have a problem.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
But then they have to drop more and more, right? And that's how downward price discovery happens. And that's what they're trying to avoid. But what they want is we have a market that, economics assumes that market participants are rational, and we've erased the irrational buyer from the market.
Which was the speculator. Yeah.
Well, that's your domestic speculator, but then it's also the three examples that you just gave me, right?
Because it's a ban. There's a ban. Yeah.
We have a foreign buyer ban, and foreign buyers are developers are asking us to bring an irrational buyer back into the market because that's good for prices, right? They want people who want to shield money from the foreign government, so that's example number one, where they're independent of price, right? Because their goal isn't pay the best price. Their goal is hide money from the Chinese government.
Their rationale to do it has nothing to do with whether there's a tenant or anything. They don't care. Yeah.
They're willing to overpay.
Yeah.
I want to launder money. I'm willing to overpay for the
criminal. Happy to overpay. Yeah.
Well, especially I mean, even you overpay by 20-30%. That's cheaper than laundering money in most other fashions. Right?
Enormously better. Yes, 100%.
And then you have, the people who don't understand the local market. If you don't understand the local market, you have a higher likelihood to overpay. So those are all examples.
If you're in Dubai, you think, well, this doesn't look so bad, and the town looks nice, and it's a lot cheaper than Dubai. But but really, no, you're making a mistake.
Yeah. So those reasons are, from my perspective, those are all reasons that would make foreign buyers far less rational than domestic buyers.
Correct.
And developers want that because an irrational buyer is somebody who's going to pay the price that they need to make their project make sense.
Yeah, just like Anthony Chilapati from Veritas said the other day, when he did this sort of a secret shopper, like he'd go to a condo, he went to a condo sales office in Vancouver back in the golden age, like say 2018, 2019, 2020, and he would say, what kind of rent could I get on this? And the Chinese sales lady looked at him and says, why are you talking about rent? Nobody rents.
Right.
You just keep it, flip it, or leave it empty. That's how we work here. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So that's irrational. That's fully irrational.
Right.
It's other reasons that have nothing to do with a Canadian living in it.
Right.
Okay. They are different reasons. They're completely divorced. Okay. So I don't think we're going to get this foreign buyers ban lifted. Okay.
I think they'll let it expire in 2027.
You do?
Okay. I think that I think that
I don't think Dave Eby, if he's still in power, is going to let it expire.
He'll keep the tax. The tax will always be there, but that's provincial, right? And then Ontario has the non-resident speculation tax, same thing. Yeah. And anybody who says that they didn't have a big impact on the market, like when BC introduced the foreign buyers tax in 2016, prices
Toronto exploded.
Right. Prices dropped 20-30% in BC, and prices went up 20-30% in Toronto.
It's so obvious.
And then Toronto introduced their non-resident speculation tax, that was right after B20, so who knows which one it was, but I think it was the non-resident speculation tax. 20-30%. Aurora dropped almost 40%.
Yep.
Right. So
true.
There's an obvious impact. I mean, Peter Routledge, who's now head of OSFI, did a study about this. There's old Maclean's article from 2016 that says China is buying Canada. That's what it's called. And they found that 1 in 10 Toronto precons in 2016 and 17 was purchased by Chinese buyers. 2/3 of luxury resale homes and 30% of pre-cons. So obviously, like the claims that there's no impact is pretty overstated, right?
Yeah, if you could find a truly effective way of preventing dirty money from coming into Richmond Hill from Iran,
right?
I would say, yeah, big drop in price in Richmond Hill for sure. I mean, just would happen automatically.
But the other thing that's interesting is like in Canada, and I think Andy Yan from, I don't know if it was UBC or something.
Yeah, UBC. Yeah.
He did a study on this, but he was looking at the names, right? Like non-anglicized names from other countries. And basically he because we have two different ways that foreign capital can come into the country. Number one is foreign capital, foreign direct investment. But the other one is get PR, right?
The other one is have your kids get PR or have your spouse get PR, yeah.
And so you can still buy a house with PR in Canada with foreign capital.
Oh, and that happened. Like
right.
the famous one from over 10 years ago was a $23 million house bought by a UBC student who was a part-time cafeteria worker.
Right.
Okay. Like, that actually got one bank in a little bit of hot water because the dad from China shipped over a big deposit to back up an even bigger mortgage that the bank issued to this cafeteria worker, which is kind of fucking crazy, right? At the end of the day. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it is a fact. It was a fact. It has pretty much, I think it's fair to say it's sort of disappeared. It's still around in a different way, sometimes from different countries. We do experience it still in the mortgage business. Yeah, I got some money coming from the Gulf. I got some money coming from China still. Okay. Got some money coming from India. The India stuff is pretty easy though. It's not huge amounts.
Yeah.
And it's easy to track. Like it literally is your mom and dad sending you some money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's from our perspective, from money laundering, it's much more understandable.
Well, I think like another piece with India versus China is that like they're less incentivized. They're not trying to hide money from the Indian government.
No, they're not. Right? Not at all. Yeah. So that is absolutely true. So now in the final analysis of all this, because we have been sort of painting this picture of incredible doom and gloom, but it's just some fucking truth. So fuck them. If they don't like it, fuck them. That's my position.
Well, you could look at it either way, right? Like it's bad for people who are in
the middle of it. Yeah.
But it's great for people who were marginalized away and thought they'd never own a home and all of these different things and felt victimized by landlords and speculators and developers and all of these things, right? Like more of the population exists in that group, I think.
People a multiple of 10 times, yeah.
Right. So is this the greater good? Yeah. Like unfortunately, the markets need to heal, and the only thing that can get us there in Canada is prices have to come down. Canadians need to delever.
And to your point that you just made, really much lower rents are good for everybody.
It's housing affordability,
because that's those are the people who have the most median income. Mm-hmm. When people at the lower end of the spectrum rent, so lower income end of the spectrum rent. So the benefit to them is severe. Like if you drop their rental rate $600 a month, because you could, from the absolute peak to trough, you could absolutely do that. Then it's so much better for them. Like it's just mind-boggling better. Although with food inflation being as bad as it is, I'm not too sure some days. So the one of the final outcomes of this bad scenario, particularly for condo developers, is some of them are going to go broke. Yeah. Some of them have gone broke. Like we can think about it. And they tend. Is it fair to say they tend to be the undercapitalized, smaller, much newer, and maybe too aggressive developer? Is that fair? Yeah,
I think it's similar to speculators. Like I think greed and speed were really factors in who went off the rails too quickly. Like, I mean, if you push too hard, if you went from, if your project resume is, build a custom home, build a townhouse block, 80-story high-rise tower, you're going to have a hard time.
From selling some luxury townhouses to building an 80-story building.
Yeah.
I don't know who that would be. Sam is right. I don't know who that would be, but anyway. Yeah.
No, it's not even to pick on Sam. Like I think that there's myriad examples of it. Maybe 80, but like there are a lot of people who literally goes from, small infill project to maybe like, townhouse project to concrete high rise. And they're just worlds of difference. And if you make the assumption, and the way that a lot of these people were building their models was like they were trying to become developers because that's where everybody thought the money was. And after they developed the land, they thought they would get enough of a lift that they could basically hire your construction and all of these other things. And they didn't have a lot of control over it.
So the huge growth of it made it seem simple. Right? Is that fair?
Well, yeah, it's the same as the pre-con condos. It's like you do a 3x on project 1, and then you do a bigger project with all the earnings, and you do a 3x on project 2, and now it's way more money.
So let's do 6 projects.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's take on a handful of projects of the, and
we'll just make more money.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And so though the individuals who scaled too quickly, who went from townhouse to high rise, they're the ones that are in the biggest trouble right now.
So there will be some people who have problems. But there also will be some people who be fine. Okay. So if we look at they are either the people who be fine. Let's put them in a couple of categories. They're the people who built a lot of like owner occupied end user stuff. Like I'm thinking Tridel.
Yeah.
Okay. Like Tridel, high end. Mm-hmm. End user, very, very impressive projects so that they've got a cachet associated with them.
Yeah.
I don't think Tridel's going to have any trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have...
I think it's going to be slow as fuck.
It's going to be slow for everybody, but like they have a very big, comprehensive, vertically integrated or fully integrated business, right? So like they manage their own construction, they have a rental business, they have a property management business. They were not exposed, like you mentioned, to the investor bid as much as people who were selling a bunch of tiny
they were
boxes.
Not in the dog crate business. Yeah,
right. And so that patted them against it. It probably sucked for them during that period of time when everybody was lining up to buy dog crates and they were, selling I think their smallest units like a 1-bedroom, right? So
sure, yeah.
That's hard, right? If you see your investors all of your competitors out there selling away projects.
Tempted, yeah.
But, they've been in the business for what, I don't know,
like 45 years.
Yeah.
Longer.
No, I think it's like 90 years or something.
90, I think the high rise, though.
Right. The high rise is new.
About 45 years.
But yeah, so they've been building houses for decades. They have staying power. They have capital. They have lower pre-sale thresholds.
They've seen it all. Yeah, right.
They're safe, right? Like, and I think, there's 5 or 10 names you could throw out that are comparable to that they're all going to be fine. Actually, in fact, what you tend to see in this type of economy is developers like that. You see M&A activity in the U.S. They have other businesses, not just real estate developers, right? And one company buys another company, and that's M&A, right? We're seeing the same thing in the real estate space where you get a Tridel taking over Sam's project as an example, right? And that's M&A.
They will actually finish it. It will still be a fucking disaster, but they'll get paid. Yeah, 100%. Because they have to get paid.
Yeah.
The poor,
and there's like
the poor Korean bank just keeps shoveling money at them. Yeah, that's right. So
well, and that they got it because they're the most qualified people to finish that project,
100%,
right?
100% they are. Yeah, that's true. And there's some other developers that are just really good operators.
Yeah.
Like I would put Center Court in that category.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that they, we've had the conversation, like, is there a risk there, right? It's like, I think that they've clearly indicated, there's articles about it, like they run their business very efficiently. To my understanding, it's a bunch of investment bankers who started a development company. It's like and it's visible that that's how they do things. They build 50% faster than anybody else. So they run one extra construction shift. So their market risk just shrank by 50%. So let's say,
because they don't have a long tail on their development, they got a shorter tail,
right? Yeah. So the market, if we both pre-sold a condo in 2021 at $1,400 a foot, and I built mine for 6 years, and you built yours for 3 years, you have 50% less market risk, right? Yep. So if prices start falling, you already closed, right? Yeah, or if I build faster, yeah. So that's number one. Number two is, the thing came out in the Toronto Star about them, like litigating buyers and
the failed buyers.
They
are the fastest, most efficient, most effective. They
wrote the book, honestly.
Because they were first. Because they were finished first.
Okay? Well, so they were probably the first ones in that space doing that. But they also, I think, like they've built the best practices. They were the first ones to see the problem come through the door that failed closings were even a thing, right? Because they build faster. But they also do a scan. They want to make sure. They want to do preventative maintenance on, 6 months prior. Hey, buyers, can we
prove it? Prove you got a mortgage. Prove you got a mortgage.
We'd rather deal with this now.
Yeah,
they're giving you an opportunity to work with them. Yeah. Answer that phone call.
Well, they're still pretty hard nosed for sure.
Well, I think I don't think that. I think if you're a developer in that space, I don't think it's a bad thing to have a reputation for being serious about honoring, expecting
honoring your obligations,
expecting your buyers to honor the contract that they signed, right? Like I think that's if it was me, I would think that was good marketing. Hey, you signed a contract to pay me this much for this unit. 6 months early, I'm giving you a heads up. I still expect you to honor that.
And because they believe in speed, because I'm told that now that they're not starting anything new, when a project completes, they actually send that crew, the good people in the crew, like not the periphery, but the solid people, their core people, they send that crew to a building to actually finish it even faster.
Makes sense.
Okay? Like finish more floors faster. Okay. You're right. They are conscious of, if we can just get past this and stop, we're in better shape. Like we don't want to be still building in 2028.
Right.
Okay?
Well, that's that's an investor mentality, really. Like if you think about like, if losses are there, you can't control your way out of them. Like nobody can fix the market. We can't just solve the economy. Sure, we can try and lobby the government to bring back foreign investors, but it's not going to happen. So barring that, let's just get this done and rip the Band-Aid off, right? And they also, the other thing that I think that they did to de-risk really well was they typically sold more units. They would usually sell out their whole buildings.
They sold to the walls. Like there was not one, they didn't keep any. They sold them all.
And so that's a huge advantage when right now you have no inventory that you're sitting on because inventory costs a lot of money.
You may end up with some inventory that you can
from
litigate
failed closings,
but you're not just sitting on 20% of the building that you're screwed.
That you held back because you're bullish, right? I can sell these for 20% more on closing. No,
that's how it always worked.
They sold everything out.
No,
right?
they were careful. They were always very careful.
So to me, that's very calculated. Like, and that's probably the only, like one of the few new players in the industry that they really like. They changed the game and they did it in a very, very methodical way. Like it looks like investment banking for real estate to me.
So that's who they are, and it's working out well. Well, nothing's perfect. Everybody's going to take some hits, but some people are going to
nobody's having a good time right now.
it's all going to be bad, but some people have been taking and will take and will continue to take bigger hits than others who are a little more careful. That's for sure.
For sure.
Okay. And so to sum up, in BC and Ontario, the condo thing doesn't get better.
Right.
In a year or 2 years, it's a long haul.
I think it's changed forever. I think that.
By the way, thank you. That's a great way to describe that. That is absolutely a commitment to the idea. And I've been running around in my head that maybe it's 2030, 20 whatever. But for you to say model broken for as far as I can see is very fair.
Well, it was a bad way to raise capital for projects. Like in the US, they build on spec and then they sell the units, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so the lenders take the risk, the developers take the risk, everybody except for, and equity people can take the risk because they have a crowdfunding environment. So if all of those pre-con buyers wanted to invest in a project with any of the developers that we named, they could through a proper channel of crowdfunding or through exempt markets or whatever. In Canada, we don't really have an efficient way of doing that. Like the U.S., right?
Because,
our capital markets.
Because the thing that did work for us worked so well. Okay.
Well, that was
until it didn't.
That was the developer's way of building. Like that was the real estate industry's way of creating a crowdfunding environment that was different than the U.S. Because in Canada, especially in Ontario, our crowdfunding exemptions are kind of laughable. Like you're capped at, I think it's like $1 million per issuer, and like $2,500 per subscriber. So do the math on that. You've got like 500 investors, like, and then they're putting $25 on their Amex on some crypto online crowdfunding platform. Like if we can fix the way that capital can flow into projects, then you can erase that whole thing and people can still invest in real estate, but they can do it in a much better way.
And finally, no matter what anyone hears, no matter what you see posted, no matter what you hear, no matter what video you watch, no matter what housing minister stands up and thinks, oh, maybe it's not a bad idea. What we're telling you is with great fucking clarity, the foreign buyers ban should stay. Period. End of story.
Yeah, 100%.
The only benefit of removing a foreign buyers ban is to developers. There's no benefit for Canadians.
No, I agree completely.
All right.
Yeah.
Dan, been great. Thank you so much.
Always
I really
a pleasure.
appreciate it. Good to see you.
Likewise.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.